Welcome to the Improviding Life podcast, where we explore how life can be more livable. This is Lloyd Crawford, your host. Hello! I want to chat a bit about how we get to sort of self-define and decide how big of a win something is for us. So often we are, told that there's certain metrics of what's success or otherwise it's a failure, whether that's $1 million a year income, the house with 6 rooms and 4 bathrooms and 20 people working there to keep it clean, all of these things. I mean, the last one might be a little excessive, but you probably catch my drift, right? And so yesterday, I hosted my first in-person Postpartum Playcation project event, and it was so much more than I thought it would be because of really just the feeling of being recognized and seen, and just the intimacy that there was between the folks that came, and it was just so special, right? And the weeks leading up to it, I was getting really nervous, and really preparing myself for no one to show up. And so when I was questioning myself why that would be where I'd go, it's because in the past I've realized that I have under expressed my excitement for things, or under sort of promoted something that I'm excited about or something that I'm doing, so that way it isn't well attended or it doesn't necessarily go through, so that way the letdown is sort of that it never happened, not that it did happen and then there's criticism about it. And so as they were slowly getting some of the event enrollments, I was feeling that it was slow, right? That was me projecting out. It's it's just one person. Okay, it's 2 or 3 people. And totally losing sight, though, that to me, one person reached is more than enough. But because there was a numeric value that I was seeing based off of registrations or tickets going out, it totally flipped the script for me, and was really hard to connect to my belief and value that it's not about quantity, it's quality, just because of the way that we're told numbers have to mean something. And so it was just challenging to actually imagine that it was going to be successful, right? And going a level deeper, that's when I was, reminded by a dear friend that, again, just reaching one person is more than enough because of the ripples. And it's something that I talk about often is the idea of ripples, right? And so if my core life belief and dream that I'm striving towards is that there's less harm that ever has to be repaired, impacting one person absolutely is worthwhile and more than enough, because that one person then has access to different practices and choices and healing, so that way they're not perpetuating the same degree of harm to themselves and others, right? And so receiving that reminder from them a few days before the event helped me retap into the idea and the desire to actually celebrate each and every person who was registering and coming through. So what ended up happening is 6 people attended. There's 3 in the morning session, and then we had a lunch and mingle, luncheon where the 2 cohorts sort of intertwined, which was really, really beautiful and wonderful. And then 3 in the afternoon. And even the way that the babies that accompanied the parents were the similar age groups in the morning and then similar age groups in the evening. Well, not evening, it was later afternoon. But that was so poetically beautiful, because it was truly this visceral feeling and this confirmation that exactly who needed to be there was there. And the fact that all of the vendors and support that I was able to invest in for the day were people in my local community, and I have a small but really potent community that I feel belonging to where I live, through my previous yoga teacher training, and they were all friends and that I met through that training and now currently do work with still as with one of my clients. And so that feeling of intimacy was just layered through, right? And part of the event was the luncheons. I wanted to read a poem that I wrote for my daughter, since it is a postpartum event, and show some artwork that I made, and my husband was awesome and made the drive to bring our daughter there so that way they could be there, and they were only able to be there for like 20 minutes, sort of the time I was presenting my artwork and my poem. But just like and the whole time, again, I was downplaying how I wanted her to be there. I was just like, oh, if it's not too much of a drive, you can do it, right? Because I didn't want the decision to be made by me and then have things go wrong. And now I can see that's what was happening. And just the way I was texting my husband about it, he's able to say, like, it actually really sounds like you want her to be there. And I was just like, I mean, I do, yes. I just, again, was not allowing myself to just clarify my desire of it feeling important for her to be there. And I'm so, so grateful that she was. And, like, to me, that was another layer of, like, this feels like a really big win for me that I want to celebrate, because there were so many moments that, like, looking back at the recordings of those parts of it that are just so special. And sure, she may not be old enough to remember it, but there's just something about the fact that I'll be able to share that with her as she gets older, and that all of this is also because of her. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a postpartum parent. And receiving the recognition from people that were there about how special and intentional the event felt. I had a make your own mood boost gift bag, or build your own mood boost gift bag little station, so everyone could pick out all the different products and things that would help them feel the most supported. And seeing, like, the excitement on that, it really, like, it truly is. It was such a beautiful moment of, like, you can play as adults, you can do something that just feels right to you, and it can be received the way you were hoping by other people. And I often, reflect on the fact that, intent and impact are different, right? And this was just a really wonderful day where the intent matched the impact, and I want to celebrate that. And, sharing this out, really hoping to give you permission and maybe like a little curiosity of what's something that actually is a total win for you, and perhaps you've been downplaying it, or you didn't even realize that was happening. How can there just be a moment, even in the next 30 seconds, after listening to this, to just take that big breath, feel the fullness of that moment, no matter how long ago it was, right? Or even maybe it's something that you're anticipating happening in the near future, and just acknowledge that a win gets to be a win if it feels like one to you. You get to have that joy, that satisfaction, that surprise, that sense of being supported or received or encouraged, whatever those feelings are. And you stand the shit out of that, right? And so I was just out getting some surprise gifts for my husband. He's starting a new job that he's really been, anxiously awaiting for several years now, of wanting to have a next opportunity, and that's starting this week. So I wanted to get some things to really help him feel as celebrated, as he, deserves to be. And while I was there, I did see a pair of sandals that just caught my eye for me, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to, this is one of the ways I'm going to celebrate myself in having hosted this event yesterday. And so, actually taking that time, and something I plan on doing later this weekend is actually writing out and reflecting on the connection of the moment of each person at the event, because I only knew two of the 6 attendees beforehand. And so even thinking of that as yes, the people I already knew were supporting me, and also now I have these other community members to connect with, and really celebrating that and uplifting them, for prioritizing themselves, for showing up in the ways that they did. And so, yeah, again, I just cannot wait to hear from more of you on what wins are you actually celebrating right now? And, what waves are you navigating to actually amplify that as a win, right? And being is there room to choose to let shit be rad when it feels rad, and not dampen that fire, right? And of course this message is coming out at the beginning of Aries season. So let's just let the energy support us as we're going. But I'm getting close to the 10-minute mark, and my mouth's a little dry, and I'm really excited to go make dinner. So, as always, have a razzle-dazzle day, and if that's not accessible, put an F on front and have a frazzle-dazzle day.